Come on guys, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate support. Guys, a couple of weeks ago, we had broke news story that was circulating around here on a woman that was caught in Cobb County, Georgia, months after she moved out of Detroit, where this story begins. Where this little boy right here, 9-year-old Zemar King, may he rest in peace, was found buried behind a shed at a former property that his mother, Brandy Pierce, age 41, was staying at. As crews were going to do some renovations for the next set of tenants at the place, they came across a foot sticking out of the ground behind the garage, it looks like, of a 9-year-old boy, which was identified as Zemar King. As heartbreaking and sad as this story is, what's even sadder is what led up to the death of this little boy. They did an investigative report, and it showed how a lot of people failed this child, like they fail a lot of other children out here whose cries go unanswered, and they get caught up in the system. Then when they die, all of a sudden, it's a bunch of head hanging, and we wish we could have did more. How many people are tired of this? At what time and place are we going to give priority to those that should be priority? I want you to take a look at this video, and it's going to explain a lot of questions of what motive was and how some people don't deserve children, even though they do birth them. Whether it's something psychological they're going through, something physical, or just look.
State officials with Children's Protective Services miss blaring warnings that could have saved the life of a 9-year-old Detroit boy.
His remains were found buried in a backyard at a home in January. The boy's mother was charged with his murder on February 5th.
7 investigator Ross Jones is revealing internal CPS records, raising serious questions about what officials did and did not do when they heard alarming claims about the child's safety.
We identified some human remains, someone small in stature. Extremely sad day.
The scene at Woodingham and St. Martin's in Detroit was enough to shake even career police officers. The body of a child found buried in a shallow grave.
This case is rather shocking. In my 27-year career, I don't remember seeing anything like this.
It took days for officers to determine that the boy was 9-year-old Zemar King, murdered, prosecutors say, by his mother, Brandy Pierce.
It's alleged that she purchased a shovel. She bound him by tying his hands and feet together. She then put him in this hole and covered him with dirt.
But as unspeakable as the alleged crime was, it did not come out of nowhere.
It's just a train wreck that's going to happen, right? You just see it coming, and they don't do anything about it.
By law, records from Children's Protective Services are guarded closely, even after a child dies. But we've obtained internal CPS records that show state employees were warned for years that Zemar was in danger.
At least 4 times, records show, Brandy Pierce was the subject of CPS complaints, the first coming in 2015, after Pierce admitted to marijuana and alcohol use during her first trimester. It happened, she said, before she decided to keep Zemar. There were complaints in 2019 and 2021, both alleging that Zemar had been left alone. The first time in the lobby of a Southfield apartment building, with Zemar telling police he did not know where he belonged. Police later made contact with a relative, and the complaint was denied. 2 years later, on a 78-degree day in May, Zemar was left alone in his mother's locked car for more than 90 minutes while she went to a doctor's appointment. She told police her son was a heavy sleeper and claimed doctors wouldn't let him into her appointment.
It's the pattern, right? Here is a mom, again, where she's repeatedly reported by different people in the community.
Frank Vandervoort is a law professor at the University of Michigan and a longtime child welfare advocate who said Pierce's pattern of behavior and the disclosure that she was receiving mental health services on an almost daily basis should have been a red flag to CPS.
That suggests to me a very severe level of mental health need. So I'm troubled by that, and it raises more questions than it answers for us.
The Macomb County prosecutor denied a warrant request for child abuse, saying there was insufficient evidence and CPS working with mom. CPS would close the case after performing a home visit, finding no safety hazards, enough food, and suitable sleeping arrangements. Then, last April, came the fourth complaint to CPS. This time, Pierce would come here to this Plymouth Hospital emergency room, reporting she was anxious and depressed. Pierce told CPS she had a breakdown and felt herself going into a panic attack. She was questioning whether she should give up custody of one of her children. She'd been evicted from a motel, she said. Her car was repossessed. She was completely out of funds. Once she left the hospital, she and her kids would be sleeping on the street.
On its own, how serious is that?
Critical. This is a family with no place to live. She tells the caseworker, I can't sleep in my car, which suggests to me that she's been sleeping in her car at some points.
But what Zemar told CPS was most alarming of all. He had not been to school in over a year, he said, and doesn't always have food to eat. He said his mother beat him with a belt, that she's choked him with her hands, and that she wants to kill him.
Any rational, normal person walking out on the street hearing this would be completely alarmed by what they're hearing. They would take action. They would call the police.
But what CPS did, according to internal records, was close the case. The investigation found no preponderance of evidence of physical neglect. Pierce was provided with pamphlets connecting her with community services, and a note was added to follow up on her mental health appointments. 6 months later, after Zemar reported that his mother choked and wanted to kill him, prosecutors say she did.
It's alleged that she killed him and that the cause of death found by the medical examiner was smothering and neck compression.
CPS records show that the family was placed at a homeless shelter after that final complaint last April. It is not clear how long they were there. Then in December, Brandy Pierce was found in Georgia. She was arrested after someone reported finding her other child, a 3-year-old, locked in a car alone. Police said temperatures were in the 40s, the child was nude, and there was feces and a deflated air mattress in the vehicle. Citing state and federal law, CPS said they could not comment on this case, but they are heartbroken by Zemar's death and are committed to ensuring the health and safety of all children. Tonight, Zemar's relatives are trying to pay for his burial. They have started a GoFundMe, and we have included a link where you can donate on our website right now at WXYZ.com. Beyond horrific. And we asked CPS, is the employee who handled that last investigation, what is their status? Are they working today? Are they under investigation? Were they disciplined? They said they couldn't comment, but there are many, many questions that need to be asked about this.
I mean, it leaves you speechless, and my stomach is just turning over. Where is that mom? She's locked up right now, or she's getting help?
It is unclear whether or not she's still in Georgia. They have to move her to Michigan so she can be arraigned. Her whereabouts right now are not entirely clear, but she is under arrest.
And her other children are safe,
Yes,
as far as we know.
state custody right now.
So many missed red flags. All right.
I got to be honest with you. That was very hard for me to deal with. Now I'm going to show you something. I have a lot of notes that I want to go over today with you guys. That's why you see me looking off to the side. I have my notes sitting up here. First things first. I don't even know what the job of CPS is nowadays, because you're starting to see a whole bunch of children falling through the cracks. And I'm trying to figure out why. I did story after story about how CPS seemed like they failed to do the most from somebody that was going through the worst times and situations as a child, the same child they're supposed to be protected services of. Now, it's just funny to me how a CPS requirement, it seems like it is, for them to leave you alone is having enough room in your house, food in the house, and a place to sleep. That's not enough for the growth and development of a child. Those are just necessities that every child should have to make themselves comfortable. They should have got these kids away from her. She was suffering in silence from mental illness, and that suffering went on to her child, with the greatest price being paid of death for Zemar King. And that's the part that's sad about this. That's the part that's really hurtful. Nobody's seen signs. It's like everybody knows when something's not normal. If you're a CPS, what the hell are you being trained for that you won't even do something when the facts are right in front of your face that something's wrong? And that's the thing. Look at this. Let's go down the line. Said she was warned for years that Zemar was in danger from the signs that were pointed. CPS would come out there, do nothing. Look, she used weed and alcohol during her first trimester of development of Zemar, so his first 3 months, before she decided to keep him. You know what? I'm going to keep him, so I'll stop using the drugs and drinking alcohol. I want you to think about that. You're pregnant. I'm sure the guy knows you're pregnant, but he's not trying to get you to stop doing stuff with your body, regardless of if you're going to keep the child or not. Because now that you decided to keep the child, and trust me, this woman's not in her right mind, we already know. The first few months of his development in the womb was marred by pollution. Sad, man. Another thing is this. The complaints in 2019 and 2021 for him being virtually abandoned twice. First time they said it was at an apartment building lobby. It was heartbreaking when they asked him, you know, where his parents was or whatever. And he said, I quote, "I don't know where I belong." Little boy, scared, lost, waiting for his mom to come back. They had to contact a family member to come get him because they didn't return him to her. Second time he was alone in the car. This is 2021. Alone in the car for 90 minutes in 78-degree temperatures. That's damn near 80 degrees of heat. For an hour and a half, 90 minutes, an hour and a half. You left him in the car. Oh, I couldn't take him into the doctor's office. He's not old enough. Well, if I can't take my children into a doctor's appointment, maybe I can't go to that doctor's appointment. But then again, this woman was not in her right mind. Look at this. She was receiving mental health services almost on a daily basis. That's not a red flag? With all of this stuff, that right there should have been noted at the top of the list. So when you hear her name and you got to go investigate her and her kids, you would say, okay, this woman has an issue with mental illness and she's getting a lot of treatment. So this right here needs to be a case that we need to watch on a regular basis. Nobody did that. A lot of people failed this child and the other one and the other one. She went to the hospital claiming anxiety and depression, right? Let me show you something. Let me see if I have it up here. Hold, give me 1 second. Yeah, I don't have it up here. I did have it freeze framed on the part where it was reading from the hospital of what was going on with him, that long list, and it was saying some stuff that they didn't mention. But I'm rolling. I can't go back into it. But listen. Said he gave a statement that day when CPS talked to him. This right here is the killer to me. In Zemar's statement, he said he hasn't been to school in a year. That right there is a priority, your child's education. I thought they'd take your kids if you don't let them go to school. Doesn't always have food to eat. That's hurtful. Mother choked him with her hands, and she wants to kill him. He's 9 years old at the time of his death. My daughter's 9. Very intelligent, fully functional human being from a mindset of being able to carry a conversation and say and articulate how she feels, what she wants, and what she means. I wonder how that feels to have a child say to you, "Oh, my mom wants to kill me." That's a bad feeling. when they interview a child, and now 6 months later, he's dead. A lot of people dropped the ball on this. I don't know if they was trying to go to and fro in their daily day. Now, don't get me wrong. CPS workers are overworked. They are. And hear me, a lot of them have caseloads with so many damn kids that they can't keep up with them all. That's messed up. They don't get paid enough. You know what I'm saying? Another thing is it becomes a job because it is what it is. I liken CPS to almost something like a police officer, not from the intricacies of the job and the danger of it, but just the fact of seeing a whole bunch of trauma constantly, or an EMT. It's like you see so much, it's like you get desensitized to it. This woman got break after break after break, and she was breaking apart in herself. This woman's in a death spiral, and you seen it. Zemar's dead. She threw him in a hole, covered him up, bound his hands, and just ran off like he didn't exist. And now she got this other child who, upon her being arrested in Cobb County, Georgia, said the baby was 3 years old. He's a little boy, locked in the car, alone. We've seen that before. 40-degree temperatures, nude, with feces and a deflated air mattress in the vehicle. Come on. Come on. And nobody tried to stop her with the Zemar thing. There's certain things on here where she said when she went to the hospital, I'm thinking about giving up custody of my kids. Regardless of that, them kids should have been away from her. Once you abandoned him twice, that should have been it. That first time, you should have been under the microscope. He's saying he ain't got food to eat, and she chokes him with her hands and all this stuff. Remember, it slipped out in the news conference when they said, oh, in her statement of why she did what she did, because they said he died of neck compressions. Oh, we was playing a choking game, and he wound up dying. That don't even make sense. Why would you play a choking game with your own damn child? This woman's out of her mind. She's out of her mind. And these children could have been saved, especially when they're crying out for help, and it goes unanswered for the ones that's supposed to help them. This is a horrific tragedy. She's charged with first-degree murder, first-degree child abuse, tampering with evidence, interfering with a person's death. You think they bring mental illness into that? No, they gave her the charges like she was perfectly sane, when she's not. Now, I don't condone nothing she did, but this woman was suffering, and the suffering poured out onto her kids. And that's the part and all of this could have been avoided. I'd rather have somebody get mad and say, oh, the system took my kids, when they don't have they're not right in their head, than have a child die because somebody doesn't know that what they're doing can contribute to killing them, or they're on a runaway train to imminent doom of the children that they're rearing or thinking they're rearing. This woman was struggling. Said her car got repossessed. She didn't have nowhere to stay. She didn't have no money. For any normal human being to go through that, that's enough to throw you over the edge. And it threw her over the edge, but she had two little ones with her that bared the brunt of abuse from her frustrations in life, dealing with her mental illness and where she was. We don't pay attention to each other enough. We don't. And these people quickly point you to somewhere and do this and do that without taking the time and attention to look at each case on a one-to-one basis, because it's different rules that get people where they are. But for some odd reason, it all gets jumbled together. And if you've seen one case, you've seen it all. And that's bullshit, because this little boy should be here. He should be here. That's a cold, cold thing, to throw a child in the ground after you choke the life out of them, bound their hands while they're dead, and then throw dirt in their face in an attempt to cover them up and then move off like they never existed. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. May Zemar King rest in peace. I'll put the GoFundMe link in the description box. I went and verified that it was the real GoFundMe. And if you guys want to contribute to it, you can contribute to it. Right now, at present time, give me 1 second. Right now, at present time, the GoFundMe is at $755, and it has 18 donations. Today's Tuesday. They're trying to bury him. I will donate on Friday, my birthday, when I get paid. I'll donate. And if you guys want to donate as well, the goal is only $7,000. You know, you're welcome to it. It's not a necessity, but I'll see you in the next video. Take care.